to another deep dive edition of the Chicks on the Right podcast. Today, once again, this week, we are guest free because we wanted to do a deep dive into some gender bending is what we want to do.
We're swimming in the trans waters, you guys. We're swimming.
We're swimming in it. Uh-huh. And you specifically have a story to tell about one JoJo Siwa.
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, I know. Well, you don't because you don't have a teenage girl. I was just blessed to have been exposed to JoJo Siwa back in the day when she used to sell bows.
Bows?
She had a bow empire. Yeah, a hair bow empire once upon a time.
Why did I think she was a singer?
She was a horrific, awful singer. And she would pull her hair back it's almost as if somebody was driving a vehicle way too fast and her hair was slicked back. And then she would put these ginormous bows in her hair back in the day. And then all the little girls were like, I want a bow just like JoJo Siwa. And my daughter liked these bows for approximately 5 seconds of her life. And then it was like, ooh, and then she didn't like them anymore. And then she didn't like really bows in her hair at all. But there was a time where she had a bow empire like at Claire's. Remember Claire's in the mall?
I love Claire's.
You love Claire's?
Claire's is where I got my ears pierced.
So did my daughter. And they did a really crap job on her ears.
Yeah, they didn't do so great.
Really bad.
Either.
They were lopsided. She ended up letting them close up. A whole other story. But yeah, so she had an empire. And then she sort of started to fizzle. She started to fizzle after she became of age. And like the whole little girl look didn't look so great anymore, and the bows, and it looks, once you get to be a certain age, you can't pull off that whole I look 7 years old anymore with the bows in my hair. And then she became a lesbian, you know? And then it was like,
how old is she now?
I don't know. She was probably 25 when she was selling those bows. I don't know. You know how child stars are.
She's like 40 now.
Yeah. She's probably 62 years old now. But JoJo Siwa. So now she's a lesbian. And and that's stunning and brave. You know, when you decide you want to sleep with people that are of your same gender, it's stunningly brave.
So brave.
It's so brave to do that, to actually get it on with somebody that is exactly like you. In this day and age, it's even braver than going off to war.
Isn't it?
It is.
I can't think of anything more brave.
I can't either. It's braver than facing cancer. It's braver than anything I can think of in our society today. If you boink somebody that is of your gender, God, it's like the bravest thing ever.
How is there not like a medal for that?
I don't know.
Honestly.
We're going to start erecting monuments.
You said erect.
You are 13 years old and you identify as a boy right now. So JoJo is a lesbian, and Candace Owens, like sometime in the past week, I don't know, sometime this week, on her podcast, she called her out for, I guess, I don't know, faking being a lesbian, or just saying, I don't know if you're really a lesbian. I think you just want attention. I think that this is all kind of an act. I'm paraphrasing, of course. I don't say it quite as eloquently as somebody with these
Why
awesome...
did that come up? Like, why was Candace even
I don't know.
talking
She was
about
probably trying to
JoJo
distract
Siwa?
from her shoulder pads. She hates us.
I don't know why you got to pick a fight
I
with
know,
Candace
right?
about her shoulder pads.
I'm not. She hates us anyway. It's like, so I might as well just bring up the shoulder pads. But anyways, no, I love Candace. She's awesome. And she brought up the fact that I think she was trying to kind of dive into the whole social contagion aspect of you know, the LGBTQ XYZ ABC LMNOP thing that's happening with this generation. And listen, you cannot dispute the fact that if you are a Gen Zer now and you're like, I'm gay or I'm trans, you get a lot of attention.
And sometimes a lot of money.
As
Dylan
in the
Mulvaney.
case, as evidenced by Dylan Mulvaney. Right.
Yeah, sometimes it's a lot.
Yeah, and JoJo Siwa got more exposure. I mean, because she kind of dipped a little in popularity, and then she came out as lesbian. People were like, oh my God, that's so brave.
So that helped her. Like, that helped her.
I think it did. Now she's more of a thing, you know? Now she's reinvented herself. It's a way to do that. If you're I don't know if you want to call her, I don't even know what she is, a pop star or like a suck rock star. I don't know. I don't even know what that is. I don't know what kind of music she sings or whatever. But I mean, like as a pop culture person and influencer, like that makes you more popular because you are gay, right?
I guess.
Yeah,
I mean, it's all the rage now. I know that there's some people and even some studies who try to discount the idea of social contagion, but anybody with functional eyeballs who is paying attention to the world around them can see that this is a trend. This isn't something that like people were hiding, and there's always been this many non-binary people or this many trans people in the world, and they were all just hiding. That is a bunch of bullshit. Of course, this is largely about social contagion. Anyone with sense can see that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And listen, if a kid, I say kids or teenagers see that they're going to get rewarded for anything, they're going to do it. They're going to be like, it's kind of like, it goes back to the whole soldier thing that when I said, fighting a war. Remember back in the day, if a kid was rewarded with the quality of like, I want to be a firefighter, I want to be a soldier, I want to be that. Like that is, when we enforced the idea or reinforced the idea that was what was brave,
right?
Boys wanted to do that, right? I mean, boys back in our generation, boys were like, oh, I want to be a soldier, I want to be a fireman, I want to be a police officer, I want to do this. Now they don't want to do that kind of stuff as much because we don't reward that. We don't say that that's what is actually brave. What's brave is boinking another dude. That's what's brave.
Or another girl, depending on what
if you're a girl, right? And that's what's brave. So then what are they going to do? They're going to do what we reward them for, whether it's emotionally or financially in the case of a lot of people, or like on a pop culture scale, like from a social media aspect, which is what these kids know. They know social media. So they're going to be like, oh, I want people to like me on social media. I want more likes. I want more clicks. I want popularity. So I'm going to be gay too. I'm going to be a trans. Being trans is awesome. It makes me special. I can be part of this neat little club.
Well, and think about the degree now to which people are embraced into that club. The second a child like at all implies or maybe just suggests, I don't feel comfortable in my body. Now it's like psycho leftist parents and all these TikTok communities and whoever, they leap upon those people, they prey upon them, and then they immediately embrace that sense of discomfort in your own teenage body or your child's body,
which we all had.
They immediately support it, and they immediately say, yes, this is absolutely right, and you should absolutely feel this way, and we're going to support you no matter what you do. So when you get that immediate encouragement, it's kind of like things you subsidize. Whatever you subsidize and encourage, you're going to get more of. That's how the world has always worked.
Yeah. And it's so unfortunate because everybody felt weird about their bodies. Of
course.
Everybody goes through that weird phase. I mean, and so many women go through like a tomboy phase. Can you imagine like all the girls that are going through that weird tomboy phase and then preying on those girls? I mean, I was kind of a tomboy. I'm just glad that my mom took me to parks and took me and did like normal, and I say normal and I mean it, like normal, regular activities, child activities with me, rather than take me to drag shows.
Yeah.
And try to make me take, hormone blockers and puberty blockers and stuff like that, thinking that there was something wrong with me. Because what message does that send when you tell a kid something's wrong with you?
You're in the wrong body.
Right. Because you're a tomboy for, a year and a half of your life. Or whatever, during this, crucial
or maybe you're a tomboy for life.
Forever.
That's okay.
Right, like, exactly.
That's part of the scale of the spectrum of femininity.
Exactly.
It doesn't mean you have to go cut off your boobs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what are we doing?
Right. We know tomboys who are happily married with kids. Yeah. Like that are strictly dickly. You know what I mean? I mean, this is the thing. And listen, not to say that gay people are that they don't exist. Gay people exist. Transgenders exist. but I don't think to the extent that that they actually do.
I'm so glad you said that, because I remember that we played a few clips about Bill Maher talking about this very thing months ago on our show, months and months ago, but I just came across it this morning and I thought, oh my gosh, this is so relevant to what we're talking about today. Mm-hmm. And so I want to share 3 clips that come from, they all come from the same show, or the same episode of his show that he did. And so I want to show you 3 different clips. The first one is when he's just kind of introing the stats, the data about the numbers of people that identify as LGBTQ plus as we go through like generations ago to now, and what it means for the future, because he's spot on about this.
And finally, new rule: if something about the human race is changing at a previously unprecedented rate, we have to at least discuss it. Broken down over time, the LGBT population of America seems to be roughly doubling every generation. According to a recent Gallup poll, less than 1% of Americans born before 1946, that's Joe Biden's generation, identify that way. 2.6% of boomers do, 4.2% of Gen X, 10.5% of millennials, and 20.8% of Gen Z. Which means if we follow this trajectory, we will all be gay in 2054.
I mean, that's so true, though.
Right?
It is so true. Like, listen, and people will come at you, and all of us, and they'll be like, yeah, but I mean, like in the boomer generation, there were way more people. They were just too afraid to say that they were gay.
Right. And he addresses that in the third clip. Like, he addresses that very, very point. Because I've seen some like studies from last summer which says, oh, this social contagion nonsense that the right wing is trying to. Yeah, it's all nonsense. It's not nonsense.
No, it's not.
But like in this second clip, he talks about the problem with all of this is that we are literally experimenting on kids. We are doing medical experiments on kids. So that is the second clip.
Yes, part of the rise in LGBT numbers is from people feeling free enough to tell it to a pollster, and that's all to the good. But some of it is, it's trendy. Penis equals man. Okay, boomer. Remember, the prime directive of every teen is anything to shock and challenge the squares who brought you up. It's why nobody gets a nose ring at 56. And if you haven't noticed that with kids, doing something for the likes is more important than their own genitals, you haven't been paying attention. Dr. Erica Anderson is a prominent 71-year-old clinical psychologist who is herself transgender and who now says, I think it's gone too far. The LA Times summarizes, she's come to believe that some children identifying as trans are falling under the influence of their peers and social media. If you attend a small dinner party of typically very liberal, upper-income Angelenos, it is not uncommon to hear parents who each have a trans kid having a conversation about that. What are the odds of that happening in Youngstown, Ohio? If this spike in trans children is all natural, why is it regional?
Why isn't it regional? Yeah, exactly. No, I totally agree with that. Yeah. But then again, it's starting to infiltrate. It's starting to infiltrate the Ohio's and the Texases. And the,
because I think this clip was from last year, maybe even the year before.
Yeah, because I mean, like I live in Texas, and there's at least one girl that I know on my daughter's swim team she is a, what do they call it? Binary? Is that what I told you?
Non-binary.
Sorry, thank you. I don't keep
non-conforming.
Yes, she's non-binary, and she wants people to call her by another name when she's, I guess, just on a whim, And it's just like, thank you, but no. Yeah, so it's just like, this is the thing. Is like, because it is a trendy thing, and I think that there are certain kids who feel like that makes me special. Mm-hmm. That makes me, whereas I feel like I can get attention that way. It makes me special. And if I say, address me in this way, or if I identify as a certain thing, whatever that may be, whether it's non-conforming gender letter thing that I am today, you have to treat me you have to treat me differently than that kid over there. And that makes me special. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like my idea of a trophy or my idea of a ribbon that I get. It's like, this is what they're doing now. Whereas
and
we
remember that Jeffrey Marsh, we played the clip on our show like last week or the week before, where he's very threatening and like terrifying.
I mean, as threatening as he can be.
Right. But he says in this very threatening tone, you will respect us.
Yeah.
And it's so ominous sounding. And I'm like, dude, I don't have to. You can exist and you can do whatever it is that you want to do, but you don't get my respect until you do something that warrants it. And just being a gender-bending weirdo does not warrant respect. Sorry.
However, when you have the government on your side, because now you look at Canada, and Canada is legislating that people respect that group of folks, right? I mean, because they're saying that they're going to have like safe spaces, and if you dare to laugh at somebody like that, or if you dare to, poke fun or make them feel unsafe in any way, which what other group of people gets that, right? I mean, like, you and I don't get that as conservative women. We can be made to feel unsafe at any turn. We don't get that sort of legislative right, I mean, people can stalk us all they want. But apparently, these people do have that. They do get that. So we are forced, or if I'm in Canada, apparently, and coming to a United States near us, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, because that's going to be the next thing on the docket.
Oh, yeah.
But we are being forced to respect them. What the hell is that? It's like, that's the most... First of all, it's very un-American, but that's going to happen here next, because it's become this slippery slope. It's become this... Okay, first you have to accept us. That's cool. That's fine. I'll accept whatever. Live your life, man. It's America. You live your life. I'll live mine. Just leave me alone. Leave my kids alone. You know what I mean? I don't give a shit how you live your life. You just do whatever. But then it became, you got to love us. You got to be enamored with us. You got to love us.
You got to include us in all of your private spaces.
Right. And I'm going to teach your kids about it. Okay, hell to the no. That's where conservatives got really bejiggity, as you would say. That's where conservatives got bristly, is when you started bringing kids into it. And you started doing all this, like, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to talk to your kid in school about changing their gender and not including parents in the discussion. This is where we're like, seriously? Okay, we're drawing the line now.
Yeah.
And then it's the Jeffrey Marshes of the world who are saying, now you have to respect us. You must respect. No, I don't. I don't have to. You earn respect, right? It's like, no matter who you are or what you do in the bedroom or whatever, however you live your life or however you dress, you earn that. It's like, I don't care who you are. But they feel like they're entitled to some sort of, and it's because culture has made them that way.
Right.
We've done this. Our culture, our whacked out, messed up, upside down, backwards culture has made them that way. And then, of course, kids are going to want to do this. Of course they are. Of course it's a social contagion.
When they see it becomes like a lucrative career for people like Dylan Mulvaney, then it becomes more, again, the more you encourage something, the more you're going to get of it. And that's happening when you get a letter from the vice president congratulating you on your TikTok series.
Right.
That's encouraged. That's encouragement.
Yeah.
Let me play this last, I hope I have the right one, this last Bill Maher one. I think this is just addressing more of the social contagion aspect of it.
Because we're literally experimenting on children. Maybe that's why Sweden and Finland have stopped giving puberty blockers to kids. Because we just don't know much about the long-term effects. Although common sense should tell you that when you reverse the course of raging hormones, there's going to be problems. We do know it hinders the development of bone density, which is kind of important if you like having a skeleton. Fertility and the ability to have an orgasm seem also to be affected. This isn't just a lifestyle decision, it's medical. Weighing trade-offs is not bigotry. Yet when a book questioning the sudden uptick in transitioning children was released, a trans lawyer with the ACLU named Chase Strangio tweeted, "Stopping the circulation of this book and these ideas is 100% a hill I will die on." How very civil liberties of him.
Right. ACLU. I mean, it's so true. How very civil liberties of him, indeed. This is the thing. But our government is so left-wing now that they're going to protect people like that. You know, it's like the arms of our government, that all these different arms are going to like protect. It's kind of like what we saw with the Nashville shooting. And like that whole thing, it just opened a lot of people's eyes because it became about that shooter, that trans activist shooter became a victim. It was such a, that was
a
one
mind screw is what that was.
It's so disgusting for so many of us to see that when, 6 Christians were murdered,
slaughtered,
including including 3 kids. And then it just became about what do they call it? Dead naming the transgender. We were having discussions like 2 days after people were having discussions about that. I'm like, what is even happening? What are we doing? What are you guys talking about? Like this individual, this maniac went in and murdered 6 people, and we're having a discussion about misgendering what I don't even want to entertain that conversation, and then this person was somehow made out to be the victim in all this, when in fact that individual was a freaking maniac and a transgender, which they don't want to talk about.
Never.
They don't want to talk about that. That can't be. And we haven't even gotten the manifesto that this person has written either, because for some reason we're not supposed to see that, whereas in any and every other shooting that was released pretty quickly. So, there are a lot of questions, right? And there's a lot of narrative creating there, which is disturbing to a lot of people out here.
You had also talked about like the sidekick of Mr. Beast and that person recently making a change.
My daughter loves Mr. Beast. Like I let her watch some stuff on YouTube, and he's one of the guys that I'm like, okay, he's cool to watch because he's really philanthropic.
He's a huge little philanthropist, right?
Yeah, he gives a lot of he raises money and then he gives his money away, and he does it for really good causes. And he seems like a pretty decent guy. He is a decent guy. He doesn't seem he's a decent guy. A good guy. Anyways, he's got sidekicks, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the sidekicks that he has is Chris Tyson. I guess it's like one of his right-hand dudes. He has a couple of dudes that work with him. And Chris Tyson was all intents and purposes, like a heterosexual dude up until a couple of years ago. He had a wife and a baby. I guess he was married in like 2019. And then he decided, I'm going to become a woman.
Oh my gosh.
And
all right, I gotta share the pictures of that. Let me do that right now. Because wow, that's a big change.
Right. And you see the side by side and you're just like, oh my God. Wow. And I think what bothers me the most is this we see this a lot where they call it, like you see that last paragraph there in the tweet says the hurdles GNC, gender nonconforming people, have to jump through to get life-saving, gender-affirming healthcare is wild to me. I'm assuming that's what he said, right? Chris Tyson said that. It's life-saving, gender-affirming healthcare.
He looked all right before. It looked like he had a nice little family.
Oh my God, just a beautiful little family. And so he divorces her, leaves the baby, right? And goes off to, live his best life as a woman. And people are cheering him on because this is what now, if he would have to go like be with another woman, people would have said, oh my God, what a jerk, right?
Or worse, what if he was a detransitioner? That's the most oppressed class now, right? The people that actually have figured out that this is all a big scam. They've ruined their bodies, and now they're coming out to say, hey, you guys, what we're doing right now is super dangerous. Look at me, I'm proof. And now the gender bending community is just awful to those people. Awful to them.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? But because he wants to leave his wife and his baby to go become a woman and take this life-saving gender affirming healthcare, then that is to be applauded. Which, you know, to me, I don't think it's life-saving. Cancer treatment is life-saving. You know, insulin is life-saving. There's a lot of stuff that I can think of that's life-saving, but I just don't see this as being life-saving. It, you know, changes his life. It changes, obviously, the life of his, a lot of lives, including his wife's, his ex-wife's life and his baby's life. I think it's kind of selfish. But that's what everybody's applauding it. It's great, right? And then somebody commented, and I didn't get the name of the person, but I thought this was really interesting. This is something we all need to watch out for because this is going to be a new word that we're going to hear. But somebody said, "Don't listen to the normies, Chris. You do you." That's what somebody tweeted to him. So apparently, people like us who are like talking about this in a way that's not just full on board. Oh my gosh, this is awesome. This is so great. You know, you should get all the endorsements. You should get this. You should get that. You should be applauded. Yay, you. It's wonderful, right? We're normies.
Normies.
Yeah, that's normies.
I actually mind that word less than I mind the word cishet.
What is it called?
It's cis, which means, you know, you identify with the gender that you were born as, and then het means that you're a heterosexual. So that's the new term that I keep hearing the crazy folks using to describe just a regular person.
Okay. Yeah.
So I mind that. I mind normies less, even though it's ridiculous.
Well, I think normies is pretty interesting because that just, to me, that signifies that we're normal.
Yeah.
And that they're actually identifying as abnormal. So you said it. I didn't. You said it. I didn't say that. So you're pointing a finger at me and calling me normal. Whereas it used to be that they would say, don't say normal because that just makes it look like other people that we're abnormal. Well, you know, you're calling me a normie. So, okay.
Yeah, it's on you.
It's totally on you.
But the fact is, that's the thing, is that all the normies have to continue to call out all of the crazy abnormies because this is getting out of hand and it's endangering kids. We have a few reviews to review.
I cannot wait for these.
I'll give you the good ones first, okay?
Okay.
So there was one from Catisan that says, "Love you, ladies. I laugh all the time with you." That was a 5-star. There was another one. And this is, by the way, this is on the Apple podcasting platform. So if you listen on Apple, if you wouldn't mind giving us a 5-star review and posting a comment, we would love it. From Pinky LaDunker, it says, "Yes, chicks. I love these ladies so much. Keep it up." And then from Jamal Mangelson, 1 star.
Uh-oh.
And it says in the subject line, "Racists will answer to God Almighty." And then it says, "Only listen if you hate Palestinians and are a racist occupier. Garbage."
That was awesome. That's one of my favorites.
That was a good one.
That's
I don't even know if we've ever mentioned
Palestinians
on our show.
I don't think we have. I think this is the first time. This is the first time we've ever mentioned Palestinians. So congratulations for letting us bring that up. Thank you.
Anyway, that was our deep dive discussion for this week, and we're going to keep having them because we have to keep having them.
Yes, and keep talking. You guys keep getting out there and talking about this stuff and raising your voices because that's the only way that we can combat this absolute lunacy. Yep. And follow us everywhere. chicksontheright.com/links. That's where you can find us. Bye, everybody.
See you next week.